This episode of the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast is brought to you by the Podcast Reach System. Are you ready to exponentially reach more profitable customers? Launching and hosting your own show is your proven best solution for networking, client attraction, and establishing your celebrity expert brand. Visit www.podcastreachsystem.com and claim your rightful place as the leading star of your industry so you make a difference for your community, market, and audience. Welcome to the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast. Join us as we celebrate entrepreneurs, business creators, and brilliant minds who reveal what they are doing to make the world a better place by being part of it. Be sure to visit our website at www.brilliancepluspassion.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now sit back, lean in, tune in, get your notepad and 2 pens ready, and let's get started.
My name is Adam Homey. I am your host, and I am honored by your wise decision to tune in and invest in yourself today. Here at the Brilliance Plus Passion Project, we spotlight people who make the world a better place by being part of it and by their contributions to it. And as I go through my social media journeys, I occasionally run into some people I find really interesting and would love to connect with, and that's the beauty of podcasting. So today, I have with us a man who identifies himself as Uncle Jimbo. His name is James Gaffney, James PM Gaffney. And Let me just tell you a little bit about him real quick. He's got a heck of a bio, which you can see on our website at www.brilliancepluspassion.com. But let's just say that he has a new approach to branding, and I'm going to let him tell you a bit about it here in just a moment. But for now, Uncle Jimbo, come on in. Welcome aboard.
Hey, how's it going, Adam?
All right. So we typically go through a series of about 10 questions in this format, and it's a combination of giving our audience the opportunity to discover more about our guests and what they bring to the table, and also discover more about our guests, because I believe that when we see each other as people, we're more likely to make connections. So first of all, how does the work that you do make the world a better place for your clients, customers, and the world at large?
I don't know that my work actually makes anything any better for anybody, but I like to think that I enable other people to make the world a better place through their businesses and through their brands. If nothing else, at least a little bit prettier place or a little bit more interesting place, at least.
Yeah. By the way, we are joined by our co-host, Princess Alessandra Francesca. Our regular viewers know that she is here for almost every episode.
Yeah.
So
cats will do that.
Exactly. So what is it that you do? Just tell us in your own words.
I'm at the core of it a brand consultant. I help people build their brands, expand their brands, and frankly understand what their brands are. There's a lot of misconceptions out there about brands and branding and all that good stuff, and I like to think that I clarify that for people.
You mean to tell me it's more than logos and color swatches?
A little bit, just a little bit. That is an important part, but that is branding. That's not necessarily your brand. That's just branding.
Right. So let's draw that distinction real quick between your brand and branding, because I've never quite heard it defined exactly this way before.
Okay. Your brand it's your vibe, it's your ethos, it is what you offer the world. In the simplest terms, it's what you can offer that absolutely nobody else can.
Yeah.
Branding is the visual parts of that. That's the mechanical parts, the logistical parts, that sort of stuff that communicates your brand. But your brand itself it's ethereal. It's not a concrete thing. It's more of a thought.
Exactly. So tell me a few questions, some of the FAQs you get from folks who are asking you about what you do and maybe considering working with you.
Yeah. Can you, I'm ready to approach my branding or my brand. Can you do a logo? And I get that one a tremendous amount. I mean, like I said, there's a huge disconnect there with people and thinking that the branding is the be all end all of the brand, and it's really not. Logos are great, and I design logos and have for 30 years now. And I love logos. I love logo design, but that's such a minuscule part of what it is. And at the end of the day, logos aren't that important.
Yeah, some of my logos are pretty simple. What are a few questions you wish people would ask?
Am I ready for actual branding? I do see that a lot of folks, they kind of launch out into business and they're more concerned with the visual aspects of their brand than they are of the actual brand itself, and understanding what that brand is, what that promise is, and what people are going to attach themselves to. And it's not a logo. People don't really attach themselves to logos. They don't really attach themselves to websites or, words or any of that kind of stuff. It is the vibe. It's, it's you. It's the soul of the business is what they're looking for. And a lot of people kind of they put the horse or the cart before the horse, and they want to hop into the branding because that's kind of the look and feel and the ego part of it. But at the end of the day, that part really isn't all that important.
Right. Like I have a whole bunch of websites up, but their primary purpose is for people who already know me and already are on that journey, and they're just looking for some of the fine point information. So I don't see the branding as even starting there. I see it as being a component. So real quick story for you and our listeners. A friend of mine who used to be in the web design business had a client where their website was being held up from going live. The client had done a branding exercise, colors, logo swatches, and all that, and was insisting that the website had been designed with the incorrect shade of purple. So this friend of mine, the web designer, pulled up the CSS codes, went into the WordPress and checked the color settings, documented all this stuff in video, explained how all of it was coming together, actually videoed themselves opening up Photoshop and using the eyedropper thing to show, yes, this is that shade of purple. And the client insisted, no, it's not that shade of purple. My friend kept telling the client to check their monitor settings.
Yep.
So this client went so far as to hire another firm to find how my friend was screwing up and teach them how to do web design, basically. And this other firm said, client, you might want to check your monitor settings.
Yeah.
So what my friend ultimately did is my friend knew the client's husband and was friends with the husband, spoke with the husband one day and said, hey, is your wife home right now? No. Can you go in her office real quick? I want you to do something with her monitor. He did it, and he said, "Well, don't tell her anything. Just leave those settings there." And so, in a couple hours, my friend heard from the client who said, "I don't know what you did, but I'm so glad you finally got the color purple right. We can launch."
Yeah, it's insane. Color is a really very, very difficult subject because a color in and of itself on a white field, it looks completely different than it does on a 50% gray field or next to red or next to blue, or if the lights are dim in the room. And every monitor is different. You can buy 25 of the same exact monitors, and 25 of them are going to look 25 times different.
Yeah. And sometimes
it's such a difficult concept, and most people just they can't see that. They don't want to understand that. They want it to be exactly the same on a business card as it is on the monitor, as it is on the side of a truck, and it's not, and it can't be. Just absolutely can't be.
Just super quick example, I can explain in 2 sentences. One of our podcast reachers who's getting ready to graduate, we're in the process of getting her website laid out right now, and my assistant was doing the basic layout of the pages, what have you. And I looked at it and I'm thinking, okay, these are the correct brand colors, but the way you have these boxes juxtaposed, it kind of looks like somebody took construction paper and just pasted pieces together. So what I did is I said, log on with me. And I went in and I added drop shadows to a couple of those boxes. See the difference?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just something like that, or a little 3% overlay. It's these little subtleties. Sometimes the small things that make a big difference.
It really, really does. And unfortunately, you know, in my line of work, especially, you know, what people see in their heads is not necessarily what they see in front of them.
Exactly.
And some people just, they don't want to hear it, and you can't argue them out of it. And that's the people you just say, okay, that's fine.
What you can do, yeah. So let's shift gears here. And this is where we get to the fun part, where we get the chance for our listeners to get to know you a little bit better. So we have a few questions along those lines. The first is, what would people who know you be surprised to learn about you?
That I've been married for 30 years to the same woman, and we have 5 kids.
Okay.
That's, you know, I can be a little bit obnoxious online, especially.
I love it. I love it.
People
That's
have a
why you're
tendency
here.
to think that I'm that way, you know, and that, you know, I must be insufferable to live with, but 30 years. So,
Well, think of it this way. You may call it obnoxious, but that is part of your brand. It attracts and it repels. Your authenticity is what draws me to you, for example. That's why I wanted to speak with you.
yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If what do you hope people say about you when you're not around to hear it?
That I'm a good guy. You know, again, I can be abrasive, and I can even be a little bit obnoxious towards clients if they, you know, don't, sounds bad, but if they don't listen, you know, if they hire me to be the professional and they don't take the professional advice, I can be a little bit abrasive. But at the end of the day, it's because I care. I care about what I do, and I care about what I deliver.
Yeah, the one of the greatest compliments I ever got from one of my clients, and this was as he was introducing me to speak on his stage at this sold out event, by the way, is he told me about a day, he told the audience about a day that he and I had a little dispute. And he said that there were 2 things about that conversation he and I had that day that really bothered him. First of all, he thought that it was one of the most blatantly rude things that anybody had ever said to him, and he couldn't believe I had the temerity to speak that way. And the other thing that bothered him was how right I was.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, I'm not going to be a jerk if there's a chance I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You know, if I know what I'm talking about and I know that I'm correct, and people just aren't taking the lead or seeing the value in what I'm talking about, then I can be a little obnoxious. But yeah, it's so that the end product works and the world is a more beautiful place.
Exactly. So if you could go back in time and change one thing you've done, experienced, or one thing that's happened, what would it be and why?
I think I would have been happier.
Okay.
I grew up kind of, I was a punk rock guy when I was a teen and all that. And the angst kind of followed me through a little bit longer than it probably should have. And I feel like I was a little bit too dour as a younger man. And I wish I would have taken a little bit more time to enjoy myself and find some fun and pleasure, and especially in what I do. You know, life is great. Life is great, and I wish that I would have admitted that life was great a little bit sooner.
Yeah, and my own journey is breaking free of preconceptions, and a big one has been preconceptions of what it means to be wealthy.
Yeah.
You think expensive car, big house. So I'm thinking expensive car and getting a smaller apartment because I need something that fits me better. But then I have people asking me, "Oh, you want a smaller apartment? You're going from a 2-bedroom to a 1-bedroom. Is your business okay?" No, my business is the best it's ever been. I am living in a place right now where I'm not using half the space.
Yeah.
Why would I hold on to that? I don't know.
And pay for that extra space that
exactly
sitting there. Yeah.
Exactly. And the thing is, when you have unused space in your living space like that, you have rooms that you don't go into, you have bare spaces because you don't fill them in and you don't occupy them. That actually puts a negative juju vibe on your home. And there's probably some feng shui stuff in there too that's getting in the way of your overall energy and happiness.
Yeah, that's some very Marie Kondo kind of stuff there.
Yeah, exactly. What famous person, alive or dead, would you like to meet? What questions would you have for them if you had the opportunity?
How about I'll throw you a little bit of a curveball here. I'd like to meet Gibby Haynes from the Butthole Surfers.
All right.
Yeah, one of my favorite bands, and I've met a couple of the other guys in the band, but I've never had a chance to meet him. And I just like to talk to him about the early days and why they did what they did.
Right. What motivates you and inspires you to keep going when you're having a tough time or facing a challenge?
My wife and kids. You know, they deserve the best out of me. And if I'm living in a state of, downness or challenge or worry, they don't get the best of me, and they deserve the absolute best of me all the time. So that's, if I get down, I drag myself out because they deserve more.
Yeah. All right. So I know you have a really interesting gift you want to share with our audience, and I'm going to do that for you in just a moment.
Okay.
But as we wrap up here, what is one thing in general you would urge our listeners to do as soon as they finish streaming this episode in the next minute or two?
Stop worrying so much about your logo and your design work and all that stuff. And again, I'm a logo designer. I'm a graphic designer. I love colors. I love all that stuff, and it's great. And it is important. But really what is more important is really nailing down your promise and nailing down your ethos and your brand. And that's going to carry you so much further than spending money and worry on creating the perfect logo. Something I heard a while back is, it's a logo. It's not your entire story. And your entire story is way more important than any of those little tiny pieces.
All right. So that's great advice. And I think we covered some of that through a couple of our stories. Yep. Here's a gift. And for those of you who are on our YouTube companion channel or viewing the video versions right on our primary website, the URL, you can see it. For everybody else, I'm going to say it out loud. It's jamespmgaffney.com/mooch. That's jamespmgaffney.com/mooch. Are you going to get a special report? No. Are you going to get some kind of free guide, free video? No, you're not going to quite get that either. You're going to get a worksheet for determining your brand color swatch. I think you already know that's not happening. What you're going to get is Uncle Jimbo's urinal beautification stickers for the cure. If you've ever fantasized about micturating on a branding expert, here's your chance. You can put one of these stickers right in the urinal. I swear to goodness gracious, you gotta check this out. They are awesome, and I think they work with toilets too, is the best part. And when you do this, you're going to be sharing the love and multiplying the, well, you know what. So I'll say multiplying the piss. So, all right. So again, this will probably be one of the more interesting invitations that our guests have ever offered. You would expect nothing less. JamesPMGaffney.com. My co-host almost knocked over my iced tea. JamesPMGaffney.com/mooch. And with that, James PM Gaffney, Uncle Jimbo, thank you so much for being with us today. It's been an honor, and believe me, in education.
Yeah, it's been great, Adam. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun, and make sure that cat keeps the tail out of your face.
Thank you for tuning into the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast, where we celebrate entrepreneurs, business creators, and brilliant minds who are making a difference for their community, market, and audience. Remember to visit our website at www.brilliancepluspassion.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast.